ultimately, a brand is it's it's an extension of us, isn't it? And what I've realised in my short career as being a brand builder and running my own business is that ultimately, if you don't take care of yourself and kind of focus on yourself first, then brands don't succeed.
Yeah.
Because ultimately brands always start off with one person and their vision and their kind of beliefs and what it is that they want to do. And if you haven't got that kind of clear and you're not looking after yourself and the perception, the brand that you want to portray to the rest of the world, it often gets skewed. And so I think the two are very much aligned, and that was the thing, I come from a branding background and graphic design background, and the more I delved into branding was the more I realized that every brand that's ever started was started by an individual. And so without that focus on yourself, and making sure that you're okay and that you're bettering yourself, the brands don't succeed. So that's where the whole, health, wellness, emotional well-being and everything kind of plays.
Are you like a kind of like a coach, like that sort of thing? Or...
You know what? I'm not actually. I'm a graphic designer, but I've kind of moved into brand consulting and marketing. And the podcast just started from just a love of brands and how they got started, and I just kind of want to help more small businesses and entrepreneurs realize the importance of brand and how it does start with you, and that's where the podcast was kind of born.
Well, you like my story because mine kind of starts. I'm not a big company, but I did have in my head that that I needed to. Mine were kind of born out of me wanting not to pay for advertising. So I knew that there were a way that you could not have to pay Yellow Pages and Checker Trade and My Builder, things like that. And as sort of technology were emerging, because back in the 80s when I first started, it absolutely cost a fortune to to advertise, even in local paper. So your wages weren't that expensive as a subcontractor, but even to advertise in local paper were like 20, 25 quid or something, and you had to pay per word. And if you didn't advertise, nobody knew you were there because everybody read local paper. And that was only way, or phone directory, which were Yell, which were even more, which cost even more. You had to pay per year. And it were hundreds and hundreds. And for a subcontractor, only getting paid, per day or whatever. I just thought, surely there's a better way of getting your name out. And then
okay, all right then.
When computers came along, I was like, right, there's got to be a way.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it all sounds really good. So what I'm going to do, the way we've just been talking is perfect.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a great show, great episode.
Nice.
Right. So I'm just going to do a little introduction now and kind of start us off, and then we'll kind of get into it. Okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Build Better Brands. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. Today I'm joined with Simon Cooper, also known as Damp Sam. I met Damp Sam through a group, a WhatsApp group, which is full of podcasters. And I was in need because I'll be honest with you, I was very much about to run out of episodes and I couldn't do that to my lovely listeners. So I just want to first say thank you so much, Sam, for coming along today and saving my bacon. Sam, we've had a bit of a chat before, and it sounds like you've had quite an interesting career, which started probably before I turned up, actually. But it sounds really interesting. I'd love to know more. Obviously, you've built your own business and brand, And yeah, it'd be great to get an insight into how you've built your brand and how you kind of got started.
Well, I mean, what I'll start off. I'll start off from when I started work. I mean, if I went further back, it would be a sort of a couple of days. I've already done an episode on like on my podcast. There's two. Well, there's me, but I've got like a guy who sort of sits there asking questions and stuff, because it's based around damp. But we decided to interview each other. So I says, well, you interview me first. And we did first part on Sunday. And he said, that's 2 hours. And that's only first part. We've only got to like sort of when I start working. So I haven't led a bit of a charmed life. So what I do is I'll start from my work life. So I left school 16. I did okay. So I always say I moonwalked through school, but they put me on CSEs. Now you might not have heard of CSEs. These are pre-runners to GCSEs.
Okay.
So when I was at school, there were CSEs and O levels, and if you were in thick classes, you had to do CSEs, and if you were more brainy, you could do O levels. Now I worked out from an early age that if I got into O level class, you'll easily pass an O level, because a fail, I think there were only one grade that failed it, and it was like an F. But if you were in CSEs, everybody knew that were a bad qualification. And when we took his exams at school to see which class we were going to be in, I ended up being in thick classes because I didn't do any revising. So that just killed me pig. And then what I did is I didn't mess around, but I just like to do acted and that at school. Got me CSEs, and we had to take an exam for CITB and see what you could do, because everything was based on how good you did at school. You couldn't just walk into a job. I mean, I don't know what careers is like now, but so we took an exam, and they said, judging on what your grades are, you could be a bricklayer or a plasterer or a joiner or a painter. So I said, well, I'm going to be a bricklayer. And they said, well, what we'll do is we'll get you a placement. And then come September, I'd still not heard up from them. They'd not got me a placement. So my mum rung up and she says, what's happening? And he says, look, we ain't got no places left, but we've got this place for a plasterer. You can go to this company. I says, what's a plasterer do? I had no idea what a plasterer did. I says, but I want it because I don't want to go working in pit. I don't want to. I've been working at Lions as like a summer job, and going to just go into a factory at a young age. I just thought, I just can't do that. I can't go to the same place and work every day. At least if I'm working on building sites, it's going to be somewhere different, and I'm going to be arting open and stuff like that. So from a young age, I knew that whether it's like, I don't know whether it was like a mental health thing, but I just knew it just done me head in going to one place. So then I started at Alls, and it were a year's CITB contract, and this were in 1983. 1984 comes along, and it went miners' strike. So around here, there were just no jobs, there were no work. And we were doing coalboard work, it all dried up. And they let me go. So then I had to sort of go to college and try and figure out how to plaster by advertising, going, doing jobs on my own, trial and error, working with subcontractors, trying to go with them. For a few days here, a few days there, people that I knew, and basically learning, but also going to college at the same time. And I kind of figured it out. It were hard. Some days I wanted to sit there and cry, because when you've put a full room on and plaster's going off and you're getting paid nothing, hardly any money, you just think, why am I doing it? And some days you're hungover if you've been out the night before.
Yeah.
I've done jobs where I've been in I've been skimming people's bedroom ceilings. I've been that hungover. I've been having to throw up into a water bucket, and they must have wondered what I was doing, fetching me cups of tea, and I was just throwing them back up with that hungover. But I eventually sort of got to be a good plasterer. Still didn't like what I did, but I carried on at college, and once I'd finished doing my advanced plastering, which is like you've got your NVQ level 2. It would have been equivalent to an NVQ level 3. So I got my advanced start at way, and they talked us into, because all they kept saying was, if you get your qualifications, you don't have to be a plasterer. You can go surveying, you can go doing this, you can go doing that. And I was like, yeah, I want to just stop plastering. It's just so hard.
So were you kind of, so is this a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong, is this a bit like an apprenticeship equivalent where you were at college and plaster learning your trade along the way?
It's exactly like an apprenticeship, but I had no company sponsoring me because there were no work. There were no companies taking plasterers on. I had to kind of do it off my own back. So I paid. I got it for free. I got my HNC. I started doing I did a bridge year first, and I got that for free. But then when I did my HNC, I had to pay for it myself, and I went on a night. So in HNC, you have to get so many units, and that's a higher national certificate, and it's a BTEC one. And I did it in building management. So I went to college, knocking these units off. So each year, and you had to get 10. I had some personal issues at home, and ended up leaving home, going to live in London. But luckily, what happened is you once you've got your units on an HNC, you don't lose them, and you can carry on doing them at another time. So basically, when I came back from London, when I decided I'd had enough down there because it was just too busy for me, just stuck in traffic.
Well, a big difference from Yorkshire, London, isn't it?
Right, what it 80s, yeah. But again, it was same because there was no work down there either. I'd gone down to try and get some work, and there was no work down there either. But I was just stuck in traffic. So at least up here there was no work, and I could drive around all right, listening to a radio. But I came back up and resumed my HNC and passed my HNC. All the time I was sort of, owning my trade, getting a bit better at plastering. And then it kind of culminated with probably one of my lowest points. I finished my HNC, and I ended up getting a job as a finishing foreman for a company that were building flats in Sheffield for the student games. I think it was 91. So this around about 1990 or 91, and it was Christmas time. So everything had been going brilliantly, and I'm feeling as though I was like important. I've got this job as a finishing foreman, going up, checking everybody's skimming. I was only young, and we all went away at Christmas, and we came back, and then guy who were above me, foreman, is handing letters out, and he says, "I need you to hand all these out. Company's gone bust." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" So I've got to go down to all these like big burly plasterers, handing these letters out saying, "You've got a job."
Oh.
Yeah. So I was in Sheffield at the time, and I thought, I've had enough of plastering. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and join RAF. I'd looked through all brochures and everything, and I thought, hey, is this job in RAF? It's got to be a photographer. That'd just be just carrying a camera around. That'd be ideal. And I can learn how to do photography. I can come out, and then I can go be in a paparazzi or something like that, with all stars and everything. I was just dreaming, I think. So I went and took again another exam. So I went into RAF place in Sheffield. They booked me in for an exam. I went in one morning, took my exam, thought I'd done all right. then they called me back, and I went in, and they sort of said, we've got your results here. You can be, and it was same as when I first did my CITB exam. More marks you got, sort of, judged on what position you could get in RAF. And I think I was like somewhere like a water carrier I could have got. So and I put it down to basically we weren't. I'd not revised for it. I didn't know what questions they were going to ask, or general knowledge ones, or whatever they were. But I went home that night, just probably feeling lowest that I've ever felt. And I just thought, do you know what? What I need to do is just be best at what I do. Just try and be best at what I do. And my mindset kind of twisted. And I thought, I'm going to concentrate even more at just being good at plastering. If I can get and be best at plastering and best in Barnsley, then surely I'll get, I'll get more work. And I knew I was a good plasterer, and I just took a bit more care and got better and better and better. And I ended up, I always said I were in top 1% in England as plasterers, or me and a lad that I worked with. And we were in top 1%. And I invented this top 1%, and I say it everywhere, and I put it on everything, and I say when I get trolled online, and I'll just say, "Oh, we're top 1%, top 1% of plasterers. Yeah. What are you? What are you?" And I just made it up, and I just thought, and a lot of plasterers have got a different mindset to bricklayers, joiners, and everything. If a plasterer sees another plasterer's van, they always think they're better. And if you go on a plasterers forum, it's like being back in schoolyard. You've got bullies and everything. It's just they're a different breed, plasterers. So you've got to have a thick skin, and you've got to know that you're good at what you're doing, and you've got to be good.
What was it that made you change your mindset? Because obviously school, you say school didn't go to plan, and you know, in your words, you got put in the group for people that weren't as clever, that were thick, as you said, and then, going up north and then going down south and not being able to find work, and then wanting to get into the RAF and not quite working out, and there's been a lot of knockbacks and things not going to plan, and you say that your mindset shifted. What was it that made your mindset shift?
Well, I just thought everything that I've been trying to do or apply for, it ain't working. So I just need to concentrate on one thing and start getting good at that. And it weren't that I loved plastering. I hated it. It was hard. It's a hard job. Yeah. And I just thought I need to get as good as I can at it, and just become the best plasterer that in Barnsley, or the best plasterer in North of England. Yeah. And I can only do that by just having a tunnel vision and concentrating on it. I think before, I'm a Pisces, so I'm a dreamer. That's what Pisces are. Okay. And I've dreamt all my life. So as from answering adverts in papers for what do they call them now? Not actors. What's other ones? These that
what stand-ins, like an extra.
Extras. Yeah. So just answering things for extras, thinking, well, all they do is they stand around all day and eat at van, and they get paid, and they're meeting all these stars, and I'm thinking, well, I might get picked up, and somebody might see me and go, "Oh, you want to talk in part?"
Okay.
So you're just dreaming, because you used to see all these adverts and stuff, and I just thought that'd be good for me. And
how do you feel about plastering now?
Well, it's given me everything. So I mean, what's happened with plastering is in 2000, I set how can I explain it? plastering, you can only earn so much per day, and the elite or the best paid job is damp proofing, and it's more specialized. So the reason it's specialized is because there's not as many people doing it, though more and more people becoming plasterers and becoming plasterers. Damp proofing is more specialized, but I still don't read plastering. So I can do it sort of, it's not hard for me because I've kept myself fit, and I can lash it on, and I've learned everything there is to learn in plastering. I can do it blindfolded, and that's only because I've done my 10,000 hours, and I've just continuously done it day after day for all these years. But I wanted something more. I wanted to be known, to be I don't know, a bit more respect. I wanted people to see that I were the best in my field. So I'd gone from plastering being the best in my field, and I wanted to do something else. So I wanted to expand my horizons. And I'd never thought that everything I did before, because I did my HNC to go and be a surveyor. But when we did surveying on my HNC, when on my course, I couldn't work. They've got like things called theodolites and stuff, but Barnsley College were using all old methods, which were chains and everything, which is a lot of adding up. And I were hopeless at it. I just couldn't concentrate on it. So that I thought, well, I can't be a surveyor then. But then years later, when I started with my damp proofing company, and then started damp proofing company, became a registered damp proofer with Safeguard, and then found out that you could get in PCA, which was Property Care Association. So this is where all best damp proofing companies went, and you got accredited. You signed up to a code of practice, and I thought that's where I want to be, because best of the best is in PCA. It's an accredited association. So I phoned them up. Right, I want all dry damp proofing to become a member. They said, have you got a surveyor? Is there a surveyor with proper qualifications works for you? I said no. I said, well, you need to be a surveyor to be a member. You've got to have a surveyor with this qualification. Well, I'd only got a few apprentices working for me, so the only person that could do it was me. So I signed up, and I went and took all my qualifications for remedial work. And then I passed them, and then I did my structural waterproofing surveying qualifications, passed them. So now I'm a surveyor. So it came full circle, and I'm a surveyor. And a lot of things that I learned that I thought I'd never use when I did my HNC, even at school. At school, everything was sinking in. I never thought that things were sinking in, but when I did my surveying qualifications and did all my exams to do with things to do with humidity, the way water evaporates. I mean, first experiment that I did when I went to first years at school, I don't know if you did it at your school. We got a beaker full of water, filled it half full, put some salt in so it dissolved.
Yeah.
Got a Bunsen burner and a tripod, put it over the top, and you let it all evaporate, and then all salt is stuck to the sides of glass.
Salt's left. So hold on a minute, you did that at school? Because I definitely did that experiment at school.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of an age gap between us.
Yeah, but I were writing on a piece of slate. You'll have been doing it on a computer, and I'll have had clogs on and just rags and stuff like that. So that's a bit different.
I think school need to change up their science experiments.
But yeah, but I'd never thought that something like that would have, when you're at school, you just think, I'm never going to use this, and I'm never going to use that. I'm never going to use that. But you do later in life. Well, I think some people think that they don't, but you've got to relate to it. So you've got to relate.
Or maybe it happens subconsciously. Maybe I find that really interesting. That all these things that you learned in school, and as you say, school was tough and you struggled, but actually all these things that you've talked about, all these qualifications you've got, all these courses that you passed, you know what, it's gone really well. I know it's not been easy, but actually when you think about how far you come, it's really worked out, and you should be really proud of yourself.
It's not so much, I mean, obviously I'm 50 or 55-year-old at the minute, and when I look back at my life now, because we've kind of slowed down in COVID, I've been 100 mile an hour, working here, working there, doing this, doing that, and it's only since COVID that we've slowed down, and I've had to have a look back at what I've done, and normally I won't think about mental health, things like that, and I just thought, because I'm doing these podcasts, I think back, and I probably did have some mental health issues growing up, but they weren't called mental health issues. And I do believe that more it gets highlighted to people, more that stigma affects people. I mean, I probably were a right loony when I was growing up. You know what I mean? It's some of the stuff that I did, you just go, oh, that's mental health. That's mental health. But at the time, I just was getting on with things. But if somebody had given me a stigma and said, you know, you need to see this man here, and then you've got mental health problems, that would have probably weighed down on me. But I just kept moving forward.
That's interesting. So you think, in a way, the fact that you didn't actually know that you were suffering with mental health issues allows you to just get on and maybe not dwell on it so much.
But not so much that. I think I've come to a conclusion that we've all got mental health issues. Yeah. And it's kind of how you deal with them. Everybody's got mental health issues. Everybody's thinking different things. Everybody's got like a voice in their head, which is like it's got Tourette's. So in your head, you'll think different things. We don't say it.
No.
But that comes from somewhere. The one person that's, you know, that can walk down the street and not have thoughts in their head. So as long as you've got thoughts in your head, you're going to have mental health issues because you're going to be thinking different things, and it's just how people react. It's how you react to them thoughts. Whether some people are mentally stronger than others, I don't know. And maybe it's part of your environment, how you grew up, and you know, and that's that kind of thing. But so it's I've had like a, you know, I've had a decent life, and to do with branding. So what I was saying was, when years and years ago, you had to advertise in local papers. So we've got a paper up here called The Independent, and the Barnsley Chronicle, and they're both owned by each other. Now, what plasterers used to do years ago, if they had a gap in downside of a door, or if there were any holes in the wall, if it were an empty house, or well, even if it were a normal house, because you got a paper every day. So what they'd do is they'd screw a paper up and they'd shove it in, and then they'd plaster over it, rather than nowadays you'd use a polyurethane foam, expanding foam, and then slice it off.
It's funny you say that, because the house that me and my partner live in now, when we were renovating the kitchen, which we recently finished, a couple of the walls, we found some newspaper behind the plaster.
Because that's what everybody did. That's what plasterers do. They just stick paper in. So I'll tell you this story. So there's an area up where we live called Penistone, and I think it was about 6 years ago. We were doing a damp proof in this house. It were an empty house. We started knocking plaster off, and then near back door, I'm knocking plaster off with my drill, and then there's a gap, and I seen all this paper down outside. So I started pulling paper out, and it was an old Independent, and I opened it up, and in experts section, in it was 1988, and I put a picture on my Facebook. So it was from 1988, and I opened it up, and my advert were in from 1988. Yeah. and it was one of the first adverts that I'd done, because 1988, what the date that I went self-employed, and it was a box, and it said S Cooper plastering, any types of plastering or something like that, and then my phone number, and it was home phone number 287181. So yeah, so
Wow.
that's what people used to do, and it cost a fortune. It cost an absolute fortune you had to pay per word for independent. But if you didn't advertise in there, other advertising place, Yellow Pages, which when I was 16, Yellow Pages were that thick. They used to be on World's Strongest Man, ripping them in half because they're that thick, right? But over years, I think last time when I stopped advertising, I think they still do it now, but it's about that big. It's about that big. And it was getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I was like, there's less people advertising in here. And it was as computers were starting. So people were starting to advertise online. And I'd got this in my head. I was like, look, there must be a way to advertise, because you can have websites, things like that. And there must be a way of advertising. So I found out that you could get a web page. And I got this guy from Manchester, and he gave me I think, for thinking about it now, it was just a 3-page website, but he owned it all. So if I needed to make any changes, I had to pay him, phone him up and tell him, and he took getting money out of me all the time. And I was paying him about £400 a year, which is still expensive. So then I ended up going to a networking meeting, a networking event in Sheffield, and the kind of advertise it towards trades, so it were like joiners and stuff like that. And I thought, this sounds interesting, this. And then they were on about business coaching and things like that. So we went to this event, and they were getting people to stand up and say their name and stuff, and I was like just choked. I never talked in public before.
Did you do it?
And I totally out of my comfort zone, and that's what they kept saying. And I ended up going to another one, and then there were some grants available for business coaching. So the guy that kind of started up this event, he came and did my business coaching. Well, what I used to do, I set some letterheaded paper. I had me all dry on top. And then I used to put that in printer, and I used to type out my reports and everything onto a Word document. And then that used to print onto letterheaded paper. It used to cost me a fortune in ink. It used to cost me a fortune in letterheaded paper. And then he kind of said, well, we've got this techie guy, Mark Radford. He says he'll do your website, he'll do this, but you need to invest. And with this business coaching, now we're paying so much money towards it as well. So government paid half, now we're paying so much towards it, and it costs a lot of money. But that what first step on, first rung on ladder, and me kind of getting a bit better and getting a bit more organised. I mean, one of the things that it's still my Achilles heel is admin. I ain't got anybody doing admin.
That's very common with tradespeople. My partner's he fits bathrooms, and I keep trying to get him organised, but it's just not. It's just something. He just leaves everything to the last minute.
It is, yeah, once a month and that. But like I said, now I've got 4 limited companies, and I mean, it sounds grand, and as if you've got loads of people working for you, but it's the small companies, and but you imagine admin, and I ain't sort of moved out of that, and that was my Achilles heel when he came here 11 years ago. So it was like admin, but then he says, what else do you want? And I says, there must be a way. I mean, not having to advertise. I said, there's got to be a way that I don't have to advertise and pay for Yellow Pages and stuff like that. So he kind of talked me through different ways. And on one of times that we went to this networking thing, he did like a course on social media. And one of the days we were writing all the stuff out. I knew a lot of stuff through Twitter and all that, and I had all my social media that that was set up. And he says, what I want you to do is, I want you all to go away and do 5 videos. And he told us about doing a video online. He says, and just, you know, say what your business is and things like that.
Yeah.
And he showed us that he used to have a loft conversion company. And he says, this is my loft conversion company and a video that I did 2 years ago. And he says, and it's still, if I search on YouTube, it's still top search engine. He says, because YouTube is the second biggest search engine outside Google when people are searching for things. So I went away, got my video out, and we were converting a shop. I bought, I mean, in between I've been buying property and things like that, but we were converting a basement in a shop that I'd got. And it was Saturday morning. I thought, you know what, I'll do a few videos. So I did these 5 videos. I did one on drilling, injecting a damp course. I did one on cutting some membrane. It's still up on YouTube now. It's one of the first things I did. And then I never looked at them again. Put them up on YouTube, set my account up, never looked at them. And then I went to the same meeting again, and he did another thing on social media. And a year later, and I'd forgot about these videos, and I went and had a look. And they weren't brilliant. I'd got like 100 and some views, which I thought were brilliant. You know,
that's all right.
100 and odd views. And then I decided I'd got this, there's a system that Safeguard had fetched out for damp proofing, and it's fastest system, it's cleanest, traditional methods of damp proofing, you put like a wet plaster on wall, a render, or a lightweight plaster. And this were a way of putting plasterboard on wall with salt neutralizer, and you drill and inject, and it's quickest and it's most efficient, most profitable system that you can use. And I thought, I'll do a video of that. So I set camera up, and we were doing a straightforward wall. It were a long wall, and I did like a piece to camera, and it's on front of me. It's on front of my YouTube channel. When you go onto my YouTube channel, you search for Damp Sam. It's first video that you come to. So this is 6th video that I did, and when it comes on, you can hear me. I go, "Hello, this is Damp Sam," and the only reason I know, because every time I click on that channel, because it's lead video, it comes on. I have to pause it. I'm like, oh, God, but it was the first thing that I did. So I put it up. I put it up on YouTube, and then after a week, I'd look at it, and it had got like 1,000 views. Others had got like a couple of hundred.
Yeah.
1,000 views. And I said, it's gained some traction, and then it went up and up and up and up and up, and then I started looking at, thought, well, I wonder if I can monetize it. You know, how many do you need to monetize channel, because it will go up that much.
Yeah.
So then I looked into AdSense and then monetized it, thinking I'll get a few quid coming in. And then that particular video to date, it said 500 and some 1,000 views. So it's done really, really well.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that what catalyst for me to start doing videos on YouTube. And it gave me loads of different ideas. So as well as having a trickle down revenue, which is like when I put this information on YouTube, I get like a trickle down revenue, because people see me, because I've positioned myself as the leading straightforward talking expert, because there's loads of surveyors in PCA and people there, and they're like professors. I kind of worship them. I'm like, what they don't know about how to do it remedial side of things, they talk about, they talk with long words. I talk with short words, they talk with long words. But I position myself as no nonsense, straightforward talking, what people can understand and relate to. So I then decided to every single thing that I've learned, every little bit of stuff that I'd learned that I would teach to an apprentice, I'm going to put it on YouTube so people can look at it and refer to it and see if they can get some value. So this is what I started doing. So video after video, just me and a camera. Just, you know, and I got a bit more confident. And like I said, I've done 500 and some videos now, which is not bad. But I get like, I get about, today, I get about £200 a month, which is an holiday.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's digital income.
So that's amazing. So ultimately, what you've done, really, you've just been you, haven't you?
That's that's it. But I have and I haven't, because it were all born out of me not wanting to pay for advertising. So when I saw that YouTube, if you put a video on YouTube, people can watch that for free. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
It just costs you no, and you could get a job from that like mine. I don't know. You might get 500 quid. So from somebody seeing that video that you've put up there, and you're getting 500 quid, it costs you nothing. It's cost you, 5 minutes of your time, and you've already got the phone. So this is where I run about with branding, and you are your brand. So, but another way for me to get knowledge out of my head is to create a digital product. So at the minute I'm working on a course, which is, it's going to sort of show people how to install this this fast system damp proofing, where to get all stuff from, where to source it all, how much it's all going to be, how to apply it to wall, and there's going to be everything in this hour-long course, what people can buy to help them install it, from DIYers, joiners, damp proofers. And what I'm positioning it as is, it's going to be first rung on ladder into preservation industry. That preservation industry has got a shortage of qualified technicians, qualified people, and it's a specialist industry. There's a lot of money to be earned there, from flooding, basement conversions, Japanese knotweed, out like that. And if we can drag some of these trades over, or even people without jobs and things, into preservation sector, then it's going to be a win for everybody. They're going to get more money than they've ever dreamed of, because it's specialist work, and it's not that difficult, but they can just learn it, and then they can rise up through ranks, so they can end up taking surveying qualifications, charging for damp and timber reports, and there's so many different diverse jobs in preservation industry that we need people to get over and start working there.
Do you think you've done this because, do you wish there had been something like this around when you were studying, at the start of your journey? You said you were doing your plastering and the jobs wasn't there.
Yeah, well, on podcasts that I do, we've got like an interview section, and it's we interview people, but we kind of ask them about school, junior school, secondary school, first jobs, and first job that they started with, and where they're finished now, or what they're doing now, and kind of what it's like going up a tree and then going off on branches. And one of the things is, careers teacher, because they're all around about my age, and I always ask about careers teacher. What did careers teacher say to you? And basically they didn't say, they never showed you any other jobs. It were like trades, mines, gents, which is sewing factory, and they were never bothered. Do you know what I mean? So, but now I ask people who are younger, and I asked my apprentice, and I said, what do careers say to you? And they said, I think they've got like a bigger choice. You can go different avenues, especially with computers and things like that. And I think there's more choice, and I think they tell kids now you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. When you were younger, did you envisage always working for yourself, or did you think you'd be employed by somebody?
No, I straight away, like soon as I got a chance, I knew that I needed to work for myself, because I just wanted to be able to either go to work if I wanted, or not go to work. But if you're self-employed, it's, if you don't go to work, you don't get paid.
No.
And it's, I mean, people think, oh well, you know, you're self-employed, you can have as many days off if you want. Self-employed people don't. Self-employed people, one of the things when I was growing, I mean, this is probably one of the reasons why I ended up kind of hating plastering when I was, you know, contemplating on going into RAF. I used to hate bank holidays. I hated bank holidays, Christmas, Easter, May Day, because I felt as if government were making you have a day off. I felt as if I had to be working. If I went on holiday, I felt guilty because I weren't earning any money. You know, and I didn't have loads in bank, but I didn't have any holiday money, and I felt guilty for. It took me 3 or 4 days to start relaxing on holiday, and then 3 days before I'm coming home, I'm thinking at next job, and you know, when you ain't got much money as being self-employed, that's things that's going through your head all the time. You're thinking about money, thinking about work. It's just one of them things. But it does give you a lot of drive. I've always had a lot of drive. I've always had loads of ideas floating around my head. I once invented, listen to this, when I 1994, it might have been 95 actually. I bought an house up Park Road, and I was working in Scunthorpe. In fact, I've been working in Scunthorpe this week, and this is ironic. And I'm driving to Scunthorpe, and it was absolutely banging it down. Rain was bouncing off at cars and everything, and visibility was really poor to car in front of me. And I'm driving. I'm doing about 50 miles an hour, and brake lights on car in front. Obviously, windscreen wipers are going like this, and there's all like blurred rain on window. Windscreen and brake lights kept like going right bright because he kept braking. So that made me bang my feet on brakes. And if you go like that, you know, bright red, and I'd be like that. So you're touching brakes all the time. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be good if brake light were broke up into like segments, and how hard they pressed on brake were how far brake light went to.
Oh, okay.
So, and I thought that'd be brilliant. So anyway, I wrote it down. And then back then there used to be an advert on telly for this innovation place at Ireland. And it's saying, if you've got an invention, give us a ring and see if we can help you develop it. So I wrote it all out, this invention. I called it the Speed Reduction Indicator, the SRI. Okay. So I wrote it all down, phoned them up, and they sounded interested. So they sent me what were called an Inventors Pack. So, and I had to write it all out, Anyway, they wanted, I think, £400 to have a look at it and to do some research to see whether they won't like it in the world. So I sent it off to them, and they phoned me up and they said, it's a good invention. We've checked all over, and there's not like it, and this all right. Do you want to carry it on? I think for this £400, that's it. You got like a book, because I've still got it. I've got it here somewhere. It's like a book, and it was about that thick, and it had all these stats in showing, you know, how far they could sell it and all this and this, and whether anybody had invented out before. But they wanted between £5,000 and £10,000 to take it further to the next level, and I just ain't got that. I ain't got that money, so I put it on bookshelf and just left it there, and I thought I can't develop this. Anyway, about 2 years later, I was working in this house, and they had telly on in corner, and there used to be a program called The Big Breakfast with Chris Evans. Can you remember?
Yes, I remember The Big Breakfast.
Well,
they have Zig and Zag on it. Those two puppets. Yeah, I remember it well.
But if you Google it, and if you YouTube it, and this bit will be on, because I can remember, and I'm plastering away in this corner, sweating my cob off, and and they've got this thing called Inventors Corner, and it was I think guy that did it was in Dyson. I'm sure it was him.
Yeah.
And they used to have these people on with their inventions, and this bloke comes in.
Yeah.
With same invention what I'd got.
No.
And I was like, that's my brake lead. And he called it, I don't know what he called it something else.
No way.
But anyway, I'm thinking, of these in Ireland, give it to somebody else, but I don't know. But anyway, it ended up not getting anywhere because I've never seen any brake lights, but I've seen indicators.
Yeah, but you must have been fuming.
Oh, well. But what I've found since though is that it had been invented back in 20s apparently. There were some cars, old Fords and stuff, and they had them on.
Oh, they already had something similar. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was feeling angry for you then. I was thinking this guy's nicked your idea.
I know. So I've always like had ideas and thought this is a good idea, and it's whether you follow them through, and I think with invention at a computer that's helped me a lot, because I can do stuff in my own house, and you can run a business from your own house. You can run a business with an iPhone.
You can.
I think that's kind of brought me on. Whenever I had to go do research in a library, or I had to go, because that's what you had to do. If you wanted to look stuff up, you had to go to a library. Imagine that.
I know.
Now you can just get your phone out and Google it. You're sitting in a library with old people.
Yeah. So I suppose really, people that are starting businesses today, I bet you think they're pretty spoilt, really. They're quite lucky to have all this technology and all these things around them to help them.
I mean, they're not going to think they're lucky. They're just going to think that it's always been like that. I mean, like my kids, they just think it's always been like that. But I think where I've got an edge, or us at Oldens, we've got a bit of an edge, is we can remember before we had a phone. We can, and we know how lucky we are to have these computers and stuff like that, and storage, storage on your computer. And I think that's why a lot of stuff's getting invented, and businesses are moving forward.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So how are things going now with your business? And you were talking a bit about your website and your branding. What are your plans for the future with building your brand, aside from your course that you talked about?
Well, this year, so just after Christmas, I had it in my head. So this was going to be like a learning quarter. So I spent quite a bit of money on courses and an idea what to get these courses done in line with these products that I'm doing. So I've got my properties. I've got buy-to-lets, single lets. So they're all buy-to-lets, and I've been interested in service accommodation for quite a while, and things that come with it. So I did a service accommodation course, and we've got some tenants that's just come out of the property, so we're currently turning that into a service accommodation. And then I've heard from management company that there's another property that we've got at Royston, and tenants are coming out of that. They've gave notice, so we're going to be doing 2. So we've got everything set up, ready to have them as service accommodation. And I hate getting hammered for tax, and I last 3 years I got hammered for tax through. I had an accountant, and I deregistered from VAT, and then on one of the years I went over by $5,000, and he says, all right, it's okay. He says we can do this and we can do that, and we can move that, and you'll be all right. It's only $5,000, but make sure you don't go back next year. So I went, oh, fair enough. And then he retired, and I had to go to another accountant. So I went to another accountant, and an accountant says to me, look, we're all above board and all this. And I says, all right. He says, and I can see that you were $5,000 over on thing. And I went, yeah, but I says he said that he we're going to sort it out. We're going to do it. I says, I'm not an accountant. I says, and he's like, I'm concerned about this. Anyway, it went on for a bit. I registered with them, and I put my books in 2 parts. Basically, I'm like, all my stuff's in a cardboard box, and I gave them to the bookkeeper, and then she puts them in. And I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much I've earned. So then the second lot went in box and that, and he rung me up, accountant, and he says, "You've gone over again. You've gone over by like, how much have I gone over? By about 40 grand, which for like you can't cover that up." I said, "Well, what do I do?" He says, "We're going to have to." He says, "You're going to have to hold your hands up, and then just and you'll have to pay it back from when you first went over." So I'm thinking it's going to be like a massive tax bill. Anyway, it ended up not being that. I think it was about 16 grand. So then we came to an arrangement with VAT, paying it over a certain amount. It weren't as bad as I thought. So we paid that back. And we paid that. I lost my train of thought now. What we're on about? We're on about. Where were I going with this?
You were talking about your accountant. My question was around your plans for the next sort of 5 years. Like, where are you taking the business?
So I decided to go into SA because when government changed, they changed a thing with single lets, where you get taxed on if you've got any mortgages on properties, you get taxed on that. And I was getting hammered, so I was getting no tax relief on either, because I've got money like from different businesses and stuff, and I was getting hammered. And I ended up going into A tax bracket. I've never been in A tax bracket in my life. And then this year, so I just says, right, I'm gonna have to sit down and look at everything. So when I went to Progressive, first day on service accommodation course, he talked about a thing called capital allowance. I don't know if you know about capital allowance.
Yeah.
So he says if you've got a commercial property, he says, or a service accommodation, when you do a service accommodation, you can get capital allowance on it if it's not been claimed before, up to 35% at property's value. And I'm like, what? 35%? He says, and it can go either, you can either have it as a rebate, or you can go in front here and it can offset it against your tax. That was it. And I said, well, I've got 2 commercial properties. I says, what's his name? So I rung him up, got him to come up. Then anyway, they did that. So there shouldn't be any tax to pay next year. And then when we've done these 2 service accommodations, they shouldn't be able to pay it year after, and not to pay it year after that. And then they said do one each year. So then we'll buy a property then next term if tenants ain't come out.
It sounds like your admin's going all right. Sounds like you're being pretty organised, Sam.
I've been in business 38 years, and it's took me 38 years to get to a bit organised. So when you say, "Oh, it's going all right," I mean, I'm looking at all my folders on here, and it just makes my heart sink. But no, if I got more people working for me, it'd be a nightmare. You know what I mean? I've got this thing where I think there must be a way to sort of to make money, but we aren't having loads of staff working for you, phoning in sick and laying you down, and you know, and stuff like that. So, and I'm seeing with this, what I was saying is everything's going to go hand in hand. So, with this digital product, we're going to do this course. So that's going to be sort of main product to start with, and everything else is going to shoot off of that.
Awesome.
So,
have you started your podcast?
I've not launched it. I've not launched it yet.
Because I've seen your artwork. I know you were umming and ahhing about that.
No, did you see all 4? Did you see?
I did. I went back through the chat, because it was when you messaged me and you were like, "Oh, it's Dump San." I was like, "Hang on a minute. I remember that name. I've seen it." And I scrolled back through the chat and I saw your artwork.
Yeah.
So you're going to be promoting the course and everything through your podcast and stuff as well.
Yeah. So everything's going to be mentioned on there, and people can access that. But but also through YouTube as well. So we've got 5,500 subscribers on YouTube, which I'm wanting to grow to about 60,000. There's an electrician called N Bundy, and he's absolutely smashing it. He's just a sub electrician, and he's just got everything right. His thumbnails are bang on, and they draw you in, and you know, he's just got everything bang on. And when I first started watching him at Christmas, he'd got 28,000 followers, and he did like a thing. He broke down all his payments, and that 25,000 followers or whatever got him $3,000 a month. He got from that.
Wow!
But he did all his editing himself. So he says. A minute he says it don't really add up, just because I'm spending time doing my editing. So what I've done, I've paid for along with podcasting. So I don't know if you're with podcasting agency.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So they're editing mine, but they're going to do me. They're doing me videos as well.
Awesome.
So and then sort of sending that out to social media, and it's all to try and grow the YouTube channel. To make a bigger community, and for me to give this knowledge out and help people, but in return, obviously we want like them to subscribe and stuff, and there might be people that want to sign up to this course once it's done, and then as well as course, we'll try and get another product where they can maybe come and. We'll rent a unit, and they can come and do it physically. We can show them, and then they'll get like an applicator for both things, and bits free.
Yeah.
So that's idea moving forward. Is to try and grow that side of it, and I do believe that digital income is it's in its infancy. So we can get more digital income. It's infinite how much money is out there.
Yeah. But in order for that to happen, you said it yourself, you have to, that focus needs to be on growing your brand and having it visible on lots of different platforms, that awareness, building that trust, getting people connecting with you, finding out what you do, and then ultimately, hopefully, okay, if they get snippets of information from you for free that are really helping them, when it comes to you releasing something that they have to pay for, well, they know that it's going to be good and it's going to help them even more.
Our industry, preservation industry, has got a really bad rap. It's really bad rap, and this one of other things why I started doing videos. I wanted to show people how things were supposed to be done right, so that they can reference it, so they can look at it and think, well, hang on a minute, they've done it this way. This is supposed to be the right way. At least they've got like a thing in their head, and that was idea. So I were putting my head above parapet, so to speak, and saying, look, this is my company, all dry damp proofing. If you want to get us to do your work, this is who's doing it. He ain't hiding. So if he's showing you his face on YouTube, if he's there allowing anybody and everybody to comment on his videos, there's no. I'll answer anybody, trolls. I'll answer good comments and everything. It don't bother me. But people can see that what I'm trying to do is help people solve the damp issues. There's no underhand things. There's no like conspiracy theories, because believe it or not, there's people that think rising damps and myth, and our industry, we're all in on this big con. We're wanting to make money out of people.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're like, we've all got together, signed a pact, and said, don't tell anybody that we're trying to rip people off. So that was other things. So I thought, well, if I film everything, people can see. They can see how we do it. We can see how it was bad before, and then afterwards, you can paint it. And
it's creating that trust.
Well, that's it. So and more people that do it, and I mean, don't get me wrong. there's going to be people start doing damp videos and things like that. They're going to be 20 times better than me. But I thought, well, if I get in first, at least I'm in first, and,
Yeah.
and people will go, well, it might be rubbish, but at least we're in first, so we'll watch damp sample. Yeah, look at this old bloke here.
I doubt they're rubbish, and I'm gonna go onto YouTube and have a look at them. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to know what piece of advice would you give to anyone that wants to start a business and build their brand?
What I'd say is, get your idea first. So get your idea what you want to do, and if there's a lot of people who say, oh, go and ask so and so, and ask your parents, and ask your family and friends and things like that. But I wouldn't. Keep it to yourself. And try and figure it out yourself. Because if you've had an idea, it's probably a good idea. But if you ask your parents, they're always going to have a what am I trying to look for? They're always going to look on bad side of things because they wanted to protect you.
Yeah.
So they'll look at your idea and they'll say, yeah, but if this don't work, or if that don't work, or if you're young and if you're between 20 and 30, just go for it. Just go for it. It don't matter whether it fails. You've got no responsibilities. Just just register your company, and if it fails, it fails. You know what I mean? You'll have always learned something. You'll learn something no matter what you do, whether it's right or wrong. This is why school system's flawed. It's good. It's a good starting point for you to to be able to come out and end up read and write. As long as you're not going to be an architect, lawyer, doctor, just go to school, just pass your exams, because you learn once you leave school. So as long as you can read and write, you learn once you leave school. You get to school, you're getting taught by teachers who are poorly paid and lack motivation. And this is where flaws are. When your kids come home from school and they'll say, I don't like that class. And I'll go, why don't you like it? Teacher don't like me. And it's like, well, why don't teacher like you? Teachers don't like him because teachers have good days and bad days. You know what I mean? And they're in moods and things like that. This is why it's flawed. When you leave school, you'll be able to choose who teaches you. So you'll be able to pay for your education, but you'll be able to pay for your education by best teachers in the world, because you can do it online in a course.
Yeah.
You'll be able to, I don't know, what's your industry? Your mind and body. Who's your best person in your industry?
For branding, really, I'd probably say one of my biggest influences and mentors is probably a guy called Mike Jander.
And he'll end up doing a course, and you'll be able to sign up to that course, and
Already
you'll be able to get
done it.
taught up in. Well, there you go. Do you know what I mean? So
I bought his course when a few months after I went completely self-employed, and I message him regularly, and I've had him on the podcast.
You've been able to have a course done by the best person that you think in your industry, right? You can't go to school and get taught by best teacher, him that won gold. Well, I don't know what it is, a gold cup, teaching gold cup, because he's best teacher. And the reason why he's best teacher, because he makes his lessons interesting. A lot of teachers don't. A lot of teachers go, they're poorly paid, they're in an environment what they don't like, they've got problems at home, and this is what I'm saying. It's problem. They ain't a solution, because it's just a job to them. Whereas your guy, it's his passion. Like my damp proofing, preservation. I love it. It's something I love, and I love being able to show people. And when you get taught by people like that, you'll learn, because it'll sink in.
Yeah.
And they've obviously done well, so they've got systems that can show you.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'd say. Don't worry about school unless you've got to go to university and get a place. But I mean, who wants to go to university? What do you want to go? You know what I mean? Unless you're going to be in a job what requires a degree, why do you want to go to university and get all that debt? Government's told everybody you've got to go to university, and now we've a shortage of apprentices. In 2025, 3 years' time, there's going to be a massive shortage of plasterers, joiners, plumbers, and all them that's already doing it. They're going to make a fortune. I were in what year was it now? I think it was around about 2004 or 5. There was a shortage of plaster. No, it must have been before that, because before I was doing damp proofing. But as a plasterer, we were earning a fortune. We were charging whatever, I mean, extortionate amounts back then, £300-400 a day back then. I mean, it's come back down, but that was because there was a shortage. It was like, well, can you come here, do this plastering? We can't get nobody. Yeah, I'll move somebody. You know, I'll move somebody aside and I'll do yours, but it's going to cost double what. I'm not bothered. I'll pay it, and that's what's going to happen in 2025.
Not far then, not far away at all. But you'll be. I mean, you're on
Dead.
it. You're there.
I'll be. I'll be in my grave.
You won't, Sam. You're not that old. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
Really good speaking to you. Where can people find you and follow you?
Right. So I've got easiest place to get me is to look on YouTube. Just search for Damp Sam, and you'll see this northern bloke come up and talking about damp proofing and preservation industry in a no-nonsense style. And we haven't managed to put subtitles on yet, so if you can't understand Yorkshire, you know, you might have to get somebody who can translate it to you. I'm just trying to think which is going to be the best thing to do. I'm going to say my WhatsApp number, but
you on Instagram or Facebook? If not, YouTube, Damp Sam.
Yeah, you better off. I mean, just probably the Damp Show. So just contact me at dampsam@thedampshow.co.uk. That's probably the best way to get me. Awesome. But like I said, there's I'm all over social media, so if you just type Damp Sam in anywhere, well, I'll tell you what to do. We've got because I love helping people, and for now it's free. So for a minute, me helping people is free. I'm not saying it's going to be free all the time, but I've got a YouTube group, and it's called "Why Is My Property Damp? Damp Sam." So if you search for "Why Is My Property Damp? Damp Sam," you can. If you've got a damp issue, you can upload your videos and your pictures, and there's quite a few people in the group. There's a few surveyors and stuff, but mainly it'll be me. And just tell us the description of what your damp is, and we'll point you in the right direction. So that's free for now. I'm not saying it's going to be free in future, but stick your stuff on there, and you know, any issues, and I'll comment on them.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sam. Lovely speaking to you.
Brilliant. No, I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.